Drew Johnson. Drew's columnist, American political commentator, investigative reporter, a lot of things, but he's also a candidate for Clark County Commission District F, and I appreciate you taking time to join us this morning, Drew.
Yeah, happy to be on with you. I appreciate it.
Okay, Drew Johnson running for the Republican nomination, and I encourage everyone to vote for you for Clark County Commission. You're running against Justin Jones. It's going to put it out there. Justin Jones has had his share of problems over the years with being reprimanded in court for lying to judges. I remember when that happened, and also for big, huge push against guns. I mean, he's on this whole anti-gun, nut type thing that's going on, and I assume that you will be for defending people's rights to defend themselves.
Absolutely. One of the first jobs I had out of grad school was working at the American Enterprise Institute with John Lott, who wrote More Guns, Less Crime, and did research with him, and always been a big Second Amendment advocate. And you're exactly right. When Justin Jones was in the state Senate, he was the leading progressive voice for taking away our gun rights, for taking away guns. And that's one of the reasons he lost his state Senate reelection bid, and it ended up ultimately running for county commission because his stance on guns was not only unacceptable, to Republicans, but just centrists and moderates and normal Dems thought he had taken a step too far.
Well, they had, and it's important to understand that he has not been overly responsive. He's tried to get into some communities, I know, to say, hey, hi, if you need anything. Now, speaking about that park real quick, it's interesting because it is I'm glad they're putting it up there, by the way. It's over off of on Patrick, which is between Fort Apache and Hualapai, not far from Bishop Gorman High School. Nice park they're planning to put up there. But what does the sign read again?
So the sign, and this is the same thing at that new BMX park that's a little further south on Fort Apache. It says, brought to you by Justin Jones. And as somebody who works as a government waste expert and as a taxpayer watchdog, nothing frustrates me more because it wasn't brought to you by Justin Jones. It was something that Justin Jones may have wanted. He certainly wanted a BMX park, but we paid for it. It's brought to you by the taxpayers of Clark County, not by Justin Jones. And if I'm elected, once I'm elected, I will never exploit my name like that. I won't use tax dollars to run for re-election, which is basically what he's doing with this sign. But yeah, you're exactly right. I've heard this from so many people where people have called in and said, Justin, could you please replace this street lamp? Would you please check on this pothole? If you go on Clark County Fix It, which is an app that people can register their complaints or their concerns, their public works projects, probably half of them are from District F because Justin Jones is so unresponsive to the needs of our community. And I've heard that in Sandy Valley. I've heard that in Summerlin South. I've heard it, in the southern part of Henderson. All over this district, he's just not listening to the people. He's more interested in going out and playing politics and changing the name of the airport and all the silly stuff he's done over the last few years.
I mean, one of the things I know that's important to you and should be important to everyone these days is that you support the police. It's not just like something you say, but I mean, in terms of some people, support defunding police. You, if anything, are for increasing the dollars that go to the police to be able to put more cops on the street.
In the last year, murders have gone up 44% and robberies have gone up 33% in Clark County. And a lot of that is because of this sort of social justice warrior, defund the police mentality that Justin Jones and the other more progressive members of the Clark County Commission have. The police don't feel like they're adequately supportive in terms of training. There's a huge shortfall in the number of police officers right now, as you know. They can't get enough good people on the force. There's a real lack of people who are dispatchers. They've got to fill a bunch of those positions. And quite frankly, the county commission is the number one agency that can help lead that charge because it's a county issue and a state issue, and the state and the county have to work together for some of the issues to get new dispatchers. So the lack of officers that we have on the ground right now has to be addressed because we've got a huge boom in crime right now in Clark County. And I actually did a ride along a couple of weeks ago with one of our brave officers, a really great guy. And we came upon a situation where this elderly couple had just been robbed at gunpoint in the driveway of their house in a nice community. And when you have that sort of thing happening, an officer said this sort of thing, we see it 2 or 3 times a night. And
wow.
That sort of thing is nowhere that we want to live. We've got to do a better job of protecting residents of our county. And Justin Jones has just completely fallen short on that.
Yeah, one thing that is for sure, we cannot allow Clark County to become L.A. County, which
right.
L.A. County and San Francisco County and some others throughout the nation have
right.
become
Chicago.
We could start naming cities and counties to the left and right, and probably spend the rest of the show naming them. And we can't afford to have that happen here for a lot of reasons. Not only the quality of our life and our children, our grandchildren, but we're also a hospitality city as well. And you start putting stuff out there about how unsafe Clark County is, and good luck with the hospitality and drawing tourists here to relax, have a good time, and feel safe. And I don't know personally of anything that Justin Jones has done to enhance Metro and the police department here in Clark County. And again, if his people are listening and they want to get it to me, I'll be glad to talk about it on air. But I have not heard of one thing that he has done that is.
I'll tell you one thing, if you don't mind, that he's done to harm police and make things less safe for tourists is in the pedestrian overpasses on the Strip. We've had problems with homelessness and with buskers and with drug dealers, just setting up shop on those overpasses. And Justin Jones specifically said to the cops not to worry about going after that, not to worry about cleaning that up. And if people are coming in and going over those overpasses, paying good money to stay at the hotels and gamble and everything else, and they don't feel safe because they're being approached by the homeless people or whatever, buskers or drug dealers, that's completely unacceptable. And so he's just failing at his responsibility of protecting our community and helping draw more people to to Las Vegas.
Time. And I know that Justin Jones, who's now the Clark County Commissioner almost by default, he is rarely around except during election time, and then puts his name on signs that he created this park and he created this freeway and highway, and boy, everything is he did everything. And in fact, he's done very, very little except to try to stymie police and others in the community. Drew Johnson running for the Republican nomination, so he can vie against Justin Jones come this November. Yeah, the Democrats have initiated a stealth campaign against Republicans this year, and they've done it on a pretty disingenuous level because they have come out as Republicans, Democrats I'm talking about, and said things about Lombardo, which are not true, by the way, but they have done that. Oh, we're conservative Republicans are concerned about Lombardo, but they're saying that as if they're Republicans. They're not. They're Democrats. But again, they're lying through. And this has, by the way, been brought out by Breitbart, by the Nevada Independent, and by others who have exposed these people. And that's what they're doing in your race with the gal who's running against you. And the only conservative in this race was any chance at all of beating Justin Jones and getting our seat at least to represent the people is Drew Johnson here in District F. And you've got to absolutely consider that.
Out-of-state PAC money where these ads are coming to try to get the least likely Republican to win against Sisolak as the Republican nominee. And that's the same thing with this Democrat in my race. They're trying to get the weakest opponent out of the Republican primary so that the Dem has a chance in this Republican wave situation to keep those seats.
Yeah, it's people like Soros who put money into it. He's a big opponent of our DA as well. He's a big opponent of any Republican and even any Democrat who's a moderate. And he likes people like Justin Jones, who's much further to the left. But Drew Johnson is the guy that I would recommend. He's Clark County Commission District F. And if you're in District F, this is the guy to vote for. Drew, thank you for being with us. Good luck to you. We'll talk to you again before the primary, before the election on June 14th.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right. Drew Johnson joining us right here again. Clark County Commission, District F. he's the guy to vote for.